Hi everyone, happy today and welcome to the Space for the Butterflies podcast, a knitting and other crafty things podcast from my house in the very middle of England. Welcome if you're a new viewer, welcome if you're a returning viewer. Thank you for spending this time with me. My name is Carrie and you can find me on Instagram and on Ravelry as Carrie May. Now for me today, it is Saturday. It is not just any Saturday, it has been Royal Wedding Saturday. The kids have been very, very excited about this. My middle girl got in her bestest party dress, which is all white and lacy and floaty, and ran around going, I'm just the same as Megan for most of the day. And they just made the most extraordinary cake that had a marzipan bride, complete with train, a marzipan bridesmaid, no groom, not so interested in the groom, marzipan bridesmaid, and for my little boy, a marzipan very yummy pancake, which is this big flat circle of this cake they made. And also an entire punnet of those little cocktail umbrellas all over it, and sprinkles and everything. It's been amazing. We have also been eating commemorative biscuits. I made them save these until today. I should explain that, first of all, if anyone's not from the UK, these are from Marks and Spencer's, who do commemorative biscuit tins. It makes me sound like an ardent royalist. I like the royal family. I wouldn't go so far as to describe myself as an ardent royalist. I buy the tins because they remind me of my great aunt. She was an ardent royalist. She had commemorative cake tins and commemorative everything for everything. She also collected, you know those like magazines that you get where you sort of buy issue 2 and get the free binder, that kind of thing. They came out as serials. She was really, really into those. She had one on the royal family that ran to 70-something issues in 2 commemorative binders. And when we were little, and my sister and I used to go to her house, they were pretty much the only thing that we would read as a small child. She never had children of her own. She didn't have a lot of kid toys in the house. So my parents would talk to her about the garden or whatever. And my sister and I would sit and we would pore through all these magazines. And when she moved into a retirement home, she could no longer live at home. My parents gave those to us. We were in our early teens at the time, something like that, possibly slightly younger, because I remember looking through all of the dresses and the pomp and circumstance, and then we'd copy them out for our paper dolls. Anyway, so commemorative biscuit tins remind me of my great aunt, so I buy them for my great aunt Marjorie in sort of sentimental memory of her rather than for anything to do with the royal wedding. They also stack quite nicely. I have several of the ones for various babies. And they're very handy for keeping crafty things in. So yeah, so that's what we've been doing today. I am not wearing any knitwear, as you see. I know you can only see a little bit of me, but it's even too hot for socks. It's been lovely and warm today. Perfect day for a wedding. It's been really lovely. So let's dive straight on in to things I have finished. I have only one thing I have finished this week, but it is a big thing. I have finished the Daisychain ABC, which is completely blowing out the colours on my camera. Let's see if I only show you one letter, will that get it? That's a little bit better. This is Daisychain ABC by Alicia Paulson, who is at Posie Gets Cozy. It was published in 2011, and I bought the pattern almost straight away. This is the screen printed version. If you look back on a previous podcast where you could still see some of the letters, you can see it was screen printed yellow onto the... This is a sort of olivey mustard. There's probably a technical term for it. I'm not exactly sure which one it is, but anyway. So sort of an olivey mustard. I'll show you some of the bottom letters because these are what I was working on most recently. So yeah, so this was the screen printed one, background, and then I remember my sister got me the wool for a birthday present, and it sat in the stash for years and years and years, and I picked it up this year and thought, this is far too pretty. It matches my girls' bedroom decor. They have this beautiful, not holding out straight, this beautiful colour here is not a million miles away from their bedroom walls. Their bedroom walls are slightly mintier, but it's all very pretty. They've got a lot of pink and bits of yellow, so it's going to look absolutely beautiful in there. And I did some of it at Christmas, and then I picked it up again at Easter and had a real flurry while I was on holiday. And then it's gone a bit slow again. I think it's just one of those things where I need to have a bit of mental capacity to be able to think through the stitches. when I knit, it's so instinctive. I don't really need to think about what I'm doing. I need to read the pattern to know what to tell my fingers to do. But once I've told my fingers, you know, knit 10 rounds, they just do it and I just have to remember to count somewhere towards the end. With this embroidery, I'm still thinking every single stitch. I love it, but it needs a little bit of mental space to be able to do it. So, as John, my husband, has gone off to Mallorca to play golf, and I've been at home with the kids, I've had a little bit of mental space. Physically I'm exhausted, but mentally I've got a lot more there than usual. So I have been finishing. So we had, I think the last time you saw it we were on W, so that's how W finished up. And then X, Y and Z were lovely, they were speedy ones. I actually did X, Y and Z watching the roll wedding this morning. I love the swirls on Z. Favourite letter? I mean, I'd have to put something in for the C for Carrie, but honestly, I like the Q. It's all daisies, which I hope you can see. I can't see over the top. So the plan for this at some point, this has been pressed, but you can see there's still a few, actually it probably looks alright on the screen. In real life, there are a few little wrinkles. It'll need tensioning before it can be properly stretched and framed and sorted out. But I love it. I think it's really pretty. She's not doing them as kits anymore. Obviously 2011 was a little while ago. But you can still buy the PDF, and obviously Appleton's tapestry rule, if you're in the UK, Appleton's tapestry rule is relatively easy to get hold of. And if you're not in the UK, I'm sure there's someone somewhere that sells it and ships overseas. So if anyone's thinking about it, go for it. It's really, really pretty. It's so much fun to sew. And I just love having finished it. I don't know why I'm folding it up. I've been having it sat out on my desk next to me just so I can just go, oh, and look at it. It's very pretty. Which means on the sewing front, I can now try and remember where I put the spring craft pod and do some embroidery on that, which is quite a treat to be looking forward to. So I'm looking forward to that. So that is my one thing that I finished this week, or these last 2 weeks. In some sense, I've not been terribly productive. I've actually had a little bit of annual leave and I went walking in Wales with my dad. But we did a lot of walking, and then when we got back to the cottage in the evening, we did a lot of sitting going, I'm really tired, I might go to bed now. So I ended up having really, really early nights because we were doing these lovely long walks during the day and we were out in the sunshine and it was absolutely gorgeous. And at some point on the channel, either just before or just after this video, there should be a video of some of our adventures there. So look out for that if you're interested in what Pembrokeshire looks like. And puffins. There is film of puffins and they're so cute. I will save that all for that video. So that was my one finished thing. Other things I am working on. Let's start with something that is new on the needles. I know last time I said, oh, I'm going to finish a sleeve and then I'll have some train knitting. And maybe I could start that lovely sock pattern from Lane magazine. Or Lan magazine? Anyway, I thought about it and I still really, really want to knit that pattern. And then I looked at a calendar and realised that the 21st of June is not actually that far away. It's just over a month. And that means socks. 21st of June is John and my joint birthday. So he needs socks. So we have started, we've got this much sock so far, which is actually from Serdar. Oh, that's blowing out a bit. See if we do that, that helps. There we are, cut the light off from behind it. So it's called Serdar Heart and Soul Wool Rich 4-ply sock yarn. It is 75% wool, 25% nylon. And this is shade number 102, imaginatively christened 102. I don't know an awful lot about it, except that when we were in Hebden Bridge, almost a year ago now, last July, John and I were in a wool shop because we go to a wool shop wherever we go, because it's me. And we picked out 3 balls of sock yarn. One of them I have knitted for him already, he got those at Christmas. One of them is this one, and then there was another one, and I spent ages going, which one was his other choice? Because I knew he chose 2. Because this is how I get him to go to wool shops. He chooses the sock yarn and I knit the socks eventually. So he chose 2 and I said, oh, that's nice, and added it in. So there's this one and then there's another one that's sort of purples and blues and greens. And I went back and forth going, which one was mine, which one was his, which was mine, which was his. The brightness, the colours are not going to be indicative John is more than happy to have insanely coloured socks. He likes them, the brighter the better. You can track my knitting progress through his sock drawers. They go from like blue and grey to blue and bright blue, and then we get a little bit brighter and brighter and brighter, and I think one of the last pairs I knitted were practically neon. So my eventual thought was this one, and then I knitted a bit of it, and then dithered, and then I had to ask him in the end. So I think he probably has a fairly good idea that these are coming for his birthday. But I also have some wool miser that is definitely his, that I know is his, that he chose when we were in the wool miser shop in Pfaffenhofen and Drill. So I'm going to try and knit those up completely stealth. But for now I started these. Mainly because I needed to have some knitting while we were standing in the queue to go and get the tickets to go and see the puffins on Skone Island. Because you have to start queuing at, well, Dad's friend said 7 o'clock in the morning. We got there at 8. We were on the second boat, and most of the way down, more than 2/3 of the way down the second boat, and there are 50 people on the boat. So that tells you how many people were ahead of us in the queue in that hour. We were halfway down the road. So you have to wait until 8:30 for the ticket office to open. So I needed some knitting. And I met some lovely people in the queue who knitted squares for blankets, or whose wives knitted squares for blankets. So we had a lot of lovely conversations about knitting, which I think slightly baffled my dad. Although he likes his hand knit socks as well, so that's okay. So yeah, so this is just really broad stripes basically. You can see there's pink there, then there's green, then there's going to be orange. So I'm doing 2x2 rib. I'm going to keep going into the orange, so that'll be about 20 rounds-ish. It's a 72 stitch sock. So keep going in the orange, and then we'll go into stripes. And what I'll do is, rather than completing the whole round, as soon as the orange changes into this pale grey duck eggy blue, I will change into stockinette and go straight into the rounds. And again, when we get to the heel, I'll get to a colour change that's about the right depth, and I'll change onto the heel on a colour change. And that I found is the easiest way to make sure you have 2 pairs of really, really identical socks. So if you're always changing at the colour change, then it doesn't matter if you knit one sock on the train when you're on your way home from work and you're really, really stressed, so you're knitting quite tight. And the other one gets done on a Sunday afternoon in the sunshine in the garden and the attention's a bit looser. I find if I count really specifically, it won't be many stitches out, but it's a few stitches out, and that just adds up. And then you usually end up with like one toe has a line of the new colour and the other toe finishes all in the old colour, and it becomes really obvious that they're not an exact match. So that's my plan for this. As John knows about it, I'll probably knit these while he's around and try and get the other cape wound up and find some more 2.5mm needles and sneak it off as my train knitting. I've got a month. I can do 2 socks in a month, no problem at all. So that should be fine. Right, let's show you why I'm no longer knitting a sleeve on the train. This is my big blue giant coming out of the bag here. I wanted to show you this bag because I just think it's really sweet. John's aunt bought me this last summer because she said it reminded her of pictures of my little boy walking through the strawberry fields picking strawberries, and it's him to a T. Shirley and Scruff apparently is what is, I think, the name of the band artist. I think it's an artist in Yorkshire. She saw it up there. I have the label somewhere, but as always, when you actually want to talk about something, you've forgotten it. Unless I don't think I can see it. No label. So anyway, that's what I'm keeping everything in. I don't really have any giant project bags per se. I just use giant tote bags because I've got 5 years worth of Blogtacular bags, various mummy blogging conference bags, and then various just pretty wool shop bags as well. So, are we ready for this? Da, da, da. We have looks like being stabbed through the heart at the moment. That's nice. That is the underarm stitches, which I will probably graft sooner rather than later. I don't like waiting till the end to graft the underarm stitches because then you've just got either waste yarn, or I tend to put it on spare needle cords and they flop about everywhere and get in the way. So when I've done a few more rounds, I'll just graft them up and we'll be done. So yes, we have, I think last time you saw it, was I just starting the next sleeve? I think so. So yes, 1 sleeve, 2 sleeves, and we are all joined together by that many rounds. It's not a lot, but those rounds don't go that fast. Not when I've got 300 stitches on the needles now, I think. I'm now down to doing the 5th size. So I started off with a bigger size, and then I've got my side decreasing, and it'll fit slightly better around my shoulders. So yes, I am one round away from the colour work. Or possibly two rounds away from the colour work. Yeah, I still have to, hang on, let's check. I think I still have to do the plain round after the decreasing. Yes, so I have to do a plain round after the decreasing. And then I have 1 round, and then the instructions say, join colour B. I'm so excited. I had rather hoped that I would actually have a little bit of colour work to show you, but I don't, because I was finishing the daisy chains instead, and there's only so many hours in the day, so it is what it is. It is still lovely and snuggly, and on a really hot day, enormously hot and warm to have sat in my lap. But no, it's really beautiful. I love the way this fabric's knitting out. Let's see if we can get it to... That's not a bad read of the colour on my camera. It's called Sky Blue. This is Jamiesons of Shetland. It's called Sky. And it's just got so many different colours in it. It's, yeah, all the colours in the sky, with behind the clouds and reflections in the sea, and oh, it's lovely. And then obviously the cuffs. I've got the Milrocchy Tweed and the official yarn for this project. For anyone who's not seen this before, this is Kate Davies' Coinneach from the West Highland Way book, and it's a colour work yoke. It's not really Fair Isle in terms of the very specific Fair Isle style. It would be called Fair Isle in the UK because we're lazy about names sometimes, like all yarn is called wool. All yarn shops are called wool shops, and anything with colour work is called Fair Isle. It's just language. Oh, and all 4-ply, it doesn't always have 4 plies. It just means thin. It's really nice and confusing. Anyway, so yes, I digress slightly. So it's going to have this amazing, slightly bohus-esque colour work yoke on it in these colours here. And it's just going to be beautiful. So hopefully, by the next time you see it, it will be all beautifully multicoloured. The main reason I hope this is because I have whatever is not very much attached to the end of the knitting at the moment, and then I've got 2 balls of this blue, and then I've got 2 straggly bits that were left over from the end of the sleeves. So I really need the next bit to have quite a lot of colour in it, because there's not a lot of the blue left. I think I'm going to be more than fine, and you know, if I need a bit more, Jamiesons is fairly easy to order more yarn from. I don't think it's a big problem in terms of running out of yarn. But yes, I'm looking forward to doing the colour work. Quite looking forward to, I'm getting in that stage where I'm thinking, I'm going to have to wear this soon. I mean, it's England, so the day I finish it, it will be a heat wave for like the next 3 weeks or something like that. But then it will be cold and rainy because it will be July, and then I will get to wear it. So I'm really quite looking forward to having this. I'm in that stage of like, I'm going to be able to wear this soon, and that's getting quite exciting. I started thinking, I'm sure I had a t-shirt that was this kind of colour orange, I wonder where I put it, all those kind of thoughts. Because I don't think it necessarily goes with what I'm wearing. It might have to go with what I'm wearing, we'll see. So yes, that is that project. The next project is hiding around the corner. Oh. It doesn't look like a lot, is it? It's not the bag. The bag is a Sun Jellies bag that came in a Blogtacular goodie bag. And I've got one that came in a Blogtacular goodie bag that was this one, and I've got a bigger one that came, I think maybe it was a subscription gift to Mollie Makes one year. Something like that. I've got a big sort of corally pink one. And they're really, really handy. Apart from accumulating stray knitting needles. I'm not sure why that's in there. They're really handy for sort of sewing and patchworky projects because they hold their shape, so you can have loose things in and then play around with them. This is what I'm making. I'll show you where I've got to so far, and it won't make an awful lot of sense. There we go. Any clues? Cast your votes in the comments now as to what I might be making. Let's get the magazine and I'll show you. It's another sort of classic example of having a project in mind for a really, really long time and then saying, right, now I need to stop and go, if you're going to make it, make it. If you're not going to make it, forget about it. I really wanted to make it. So, I did. It is from whoops, me killing things on my desk. It is from Mollie Makes, issue 57. We are currently on Mollie Makes in the 80s or 90s, so that tells you how long ago it was. I think if you were ever after a back issue of Mollie Makes, I think this was an absolute cracker of an issue. There are so many things in here that I would make in a heartbeat. It was one of those magazines where I went to going, yeah, and then I didn't have quite enough time, so it all went on the shelf. But I have been very steadily acquiring things to go with this particular pattern, which is a little clamshell patchwork sort of pencil case style bag, which is this. And the first thing I acquired many moons ago these came from Berry Loon. I think they still do them. Berry Loon is they call themselves the pint-sized department store. They're in Leamington Spa, which is not a million miles away from where we used to live. It's just the loveliest shop in the world. If you're ever in Leamington Spa, you have to go to Berry Loon because it's amazing. And they just sell, they're not a knitting or a yarn shop, but they have crafty supplies in there for all sorts of random things you might want to make. Like I've got a kit for making lino print stamps from there, and we've got some of the kids' melamine plates with faces on came with it. It's all wonderful and random, and I love it. Oh, and some amazing chocolate. We do amazing chocolate. Yeah, so lace zips. So I have a green one, which is a 9-inch one. Oh, and it's now on the floor, as is the magazine. And this is a sort of gold and yellow. It's reading a little yellowier, I think, on the camera than it is in real life. It's a very golden yellow. And then this is a much longer one, and there's a red one, and they've just got these really pretty, yeah, you can see that kind of really, oh, that changes the colour cards, doesn't it? Really, really pretty zip pulls as well. So, let's get the magazine off the floor. So what you do to make the little clamshell pouch is you're supposed to start with muslin. Well, I don't have any muslin at the moment. I just couldn't really find any. And I didn't want to use, I've got a lot of white fabric, but I actually use that a lot in my patchwork, so I didn't really want to use up white on the inside of something when actually I'd put it to best use. So I looked in the stash and I found this fairly random print, sort of blue and white print. It was called Little Flower Girl or something like that on the selvage. I think I've used this in a patchwork in a blue quilt somewhere, but not for a while. So anyway, so I had the right amount, so I've cut it out, and then I'm using the back, so the non-printed side. So it is faintly blue. I mean, obviously you're getting quite a lot of light through this at the moment. If I put something behind it, like my hand, you can see on the clamshells, you'll get a bit of pattern through, but I'm using fabric that I think will be strong enough to take it. As you can see from my very first row of clamshells. So essentially what you do is you make a piece of patchwork and then you chop that up and use it as a fabric to make a little zippered, essentially it's a pencil case, but I'll probably use it for something like, I don't know, I've got something nice, I've got my stitch markers and something quite nice now. Crochet hooks maybe, actually, they could do with a new bag. So yes, maybe it's for crochet hooks. That's probably quite a good idea. So yeah, so you divide this up into this grid and then cut out the little clamshell shapes. It says to use quilted plastic for a template. I use the lid of a yogurt pot, you know, the big like pint-sized yogurt pots that come with a placky lid on the top. I just chopped it out of that. It works a treat. I'm clearly still learning on this one. I reckon that by the time I get to the top I might be slightly better at the curves, and it didn't help that I've clearly had some sizing issues going on here, because this one's disappearing off the end of it. So we will see how that goes. All of these fabrics came from a Mollie Makes cover kit that I think was for making something pretty in patchwork, I don't know, keyring or something. I've already got keyrings, I don't tend to make more of them. But I did save it because I thought those fabrics are really pretty. So I have, in my little bag over here, a handful of some others. Here we've got green spots and some leaves, and these were all in the same kit. And then also from Trouvé Vintage Fabric, these guys. I had a little set of fabric in a Blogtacular goodie bag. Now this is probably yonks and yonks and yonks ago, because I have essentially been carrying this around probably about the same time as this project came out. I've been carrying the two around and thinking, oh yeah, that would really work. So I finally opened it up and I've just got some really sweet fabric. So this is all the Trouvé stuff. There's pink flowers and yellow flowers, yellow and pink. And some, which way around does that go? That way. Blue, flowery blue. So these ones are slightly larger. These ones are 3-inch squares, the others are 2.5, but I can just about fit them in on the bias. More pinky flowers. And some yellow flowers. And it's all very sort of mid-century modern style of fabric. But I think it works quite nicely with the fabric I've got from the Mollie Makes kit. I don't think I've got enough to do the whole kit using what I've got so far, but I'm going to sew up this bit and then go stash diving. I also suspect that somewhere else I have another Mollie Makes little cut of fabric squares that I haven't used, and I've put it aside in one of those special safe places where things disappear forevermore. I will find it at some point, so the idea is I'll probably do that, or I will just stash dive and see what I can come up with in little pink and floweries. I know I've got some Amy Butler fabric somewhere that I've been using little scrappets of over the years for various different things, and some of that is definitely in these kind of colours, so if I could use some of that, that would be nice. I'm sure I'll find something in the scrap bins. So that's the current and very newly started work in progress. I actually started that yesterday because the children were all at school, so I got the morning at home, which is very nice. So I did a bit of knitting and then I started marking this out and just appliquing these on. So the next ones will go in the gaps and then eventually it'll all, end up like that. Famous last words. I think I'm going to use the green zip on this one, but we will make that decision slightly nearer the time of actually zipping, which, given my speed at actually getting sewing projects done, it could be next year. We don't need to make any hurried decisions on that one. So that is all I have been working on at the moment. Oh, seems like quite a lot really. There are a few other projects that I want to do a bit more work on, so hopefully they'll appear soon. Now I have a little bit of acquisition this week, which is quite unusual for me because I have some fairly well stocked drawers behind you, and whilst if anyone ever tells John I say this, but I'd actually like to knit some of what I've got before I acquire any more. And by acquire any more we mean go to Yarndale in September. I've got some lovely yarn in my stash, and I don't want to be a collector of yarn, I want to be a knitter, therefore knitting. Same with some of the fabric. I've got some beautiful fabric. I would like to be a sewer of quilts and clothes for my children, not a collector of beautiful fabric. Or at least, if I'm going to be a collector of beautiful fabric, I need to start framing it, or at least putting it up somewhere where we can actually enjoy it. So I have a few plans. I definitely have some quilts in progress. I spent last year doing a whole load of blocks, or finishing off some blocks from the year before perhaps, and I finished them and then they've just stalled, so I've got this massive stack of 24 quilt blocks somewhere that desperately need turning into a quilt, and things like that. So I have some plans. We'll see as and when any of them happen. But for now, there has been a little bit of acquisition, because if you saw my last podcast, you will know that my version of the Craig Allian hat, which is from Kate Davies' West Highland Way, and is the one that my dad has as his, it was his birthday present. And actually I've got a good picture of him wearing it now, so if I remember, I will put a good picture of him now wearing the hat in here and you can see what it looks like. So yeah, that won it was one of the 3 winners in the colour competition for the West Highland Way, and part of my prize arrived this week. And the first part of my prize was I have a ball of each of the new colours of Milrocchy Tweed, so I thought I would show them to you. So the first one is Hare, and it's just lovely. It's this really soft brown, quite a cool brown, I think. I wouldn't read that as a warm brown, but it's really pretty. It'd be a really lovely neutral. It'd be the kind of thing that lets other things pop. Then this colour is called Cranachen, which is after pudding that comes with squished raspberries, and it's lovely. And that is a kind of red that should make my camera completely blow out. Certainly struggling to find the white. It's just, this is lovely. I would definitely wear this if I wasn't slightly problematic around the my hair. I need to put it into something where it's not actually touching my skin and all will be well. It's a lovely, lovely raspberry red. And then this one, which is such a me colour. This one's called Tarbet. I mean, look at it against the clothes I'm wearing. Can we tell it's a me colour? There we are. It's a lovely, I think that sometimes gets called petrol blue. It's a lovely blue. It's the colour of the sea in Devon on a really sunny day. Sometimes it goes turquoise, but a lot of the time it just goes this lovely rich blue. It's the kind of colour that you want to drink. I love it. So I was very chuffed to have won that. And now, these come in the most beautiful package. That really would be beautiful had my mail person not decided to try and get the whole package through the front door. I mean, I'm grateful that I got it and I didn't have to go to the post office and pick it up again, but it got slightly battered. In here is something more red. Kate Davies does a little bit of ready-to-wear knitwear through her company, and they are branching out into walking boot socks. So I have a pair of walking boot socks. Now I wear a UK size 8, which I think is a US 10 maybe. It's a 42/43 in European sizes. I can just about get these on my feet. They're a little bit on the, I'm stretching them to the very limit of their stretchiness, but they do go on. They are incredibly warm and snuggly. There's no note on it as to what the fibre content is. Obviously it's all woolly and nice, I don't know whether it's got nylon, then I'm going to have to go and look it up on the website to see if I can machine wash them. But next time me and my walking boots go out, I will adorn myself with blister plasters, because the walks in Pembrokeshire have given me holes in my feet that look like golf balls have hit me. And then I'm going to wear some nice snuggly warm socks, and they're going to be amazing. They're the kind of socks you just have to do a good walk in. So I think they're really lovely. So those are my new acquisitions this week, which is very exciting. So I have no projects in mind for them whatsoever. I'm just going to pet them and enjoy them. I haven't really been reading a book this week. I know I wanted to usually share a knitting book with you, but there's not really been any one book that I haven't just previously been talking about. I've been reading through some of the books that I think I showed you in previous weeks. But I have a question. And really a challenge. It's to identify how a bit of knitting has done. And I can't figure it out. I can't quite think what I should be looking for to see if this is what it is. Anyway, this is a jumper of one of my daughters. It belonged to the eldest one and now it belongs to the youngest one. And my parents-in-law bought it for her in Spain. It's by Mayoral. It's just gorgeous. If they made it in my size, I'd buy it in a heartbeat. And not just because it's got a butterfly on it. So there's the butterfly on the front. It's done in intarsia, but it's not done in ordinary intarsia. It's done in something slightly clever, which I shall turn inside and show you. So, when you get to the inside, that's what it looks like. Now for ordinary intarsia, I would expect to see essentially a white butterfly on the inside, but reverse knitting. So the outsides are, that's ordinary reverse of ordinary stockinette end. But when we get to this bit over the butterfly, it's basically ribbing. And it's all sort of knitted in down the sides. I mean, it's possible, I suppose, that that's tacked on down those sides there. And when if I put my hand in and sort of pull it's joined where the colours are, so I can pull away at a bit of it. But where the colours change, it's joined. So the grey butterfly is loose, as it were, but it's joined all round the edge here. So I feel like it must be some kind of double knitting to help the grey yarn continue to go back and forth. It feels like it's some very clever way of carrying a yarn across the back when you're doing intarsia. It gives this really, really beautiful finish. I mean, it's really clever and it's lovely and smooth, and you don't get dangly bits or bits coming undone or having to mend it, which I've had to do on other commercially knitted intarsia jumpers that the kids have had. So yeah, does anybody know what's this called? Or how do you do it? Because it strikes me that it would make it really easy to do intarsia. It's definitely a lot neater. I quite fancy learning how to do it. So there we go. If anybody knows how to do this, shout out in the comments, message me on Ravelry. As I said, my name on Ravelry is Carrie May. It's also the same on Instagram, or my blog is Space for the Butterflies. Come and find me there, where I really hope I'm going to be organised enough to put some show notes up. I keep forgetting. But the plan is to have show notes there, as well as just down below here. So yeah, anyone know this, give me a shout out. And as always, if there is anything that you want to know about, just let me know. Or anything particular you'd like me to cover in the podcast, again, shout out and we'll see what we can do. I'm planning on doing a craft room tour in the not too distant future, largely because it got a big thumbs up by text from my sister, who I just think doesn't believe that I've actually managed to tidy up. So thank you, sis, but I will try and do it sometime. That might be the next video, and then I'll have a bit of a chance to get some progress in on the colour work before you see it next. We'll see how we go. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me today. It is, as always, a pleasure, and I really appreciate all your comments. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Click the subscribe if you'd like to see more of them. And particularly if you want to see some puffins being incredibly cute on skooma. I know it's not to do with knitting, but it's adorable. It's the nearest thing the UK has to penguins, and penguins are really the cutest thing ever. And with that, I will say bye-bye for now, and I will see you in a couple of weeks' time. Thanks very much. Bye.